everyone, so today what you're going to need is a piece of A4 paper, landscape, and a ruler, pencil and a rubber, and we'll get straight into it. The first thing that I want you to do is we're going to draw a horizontal line. Now I don't want it to be straight across the middle of the page because it's not going to leave me enough room at the top to be able to do my ice creams. So I want to do it about 2/3 of the way down the page here. Now I'm just going to draw a pale line all the way across. It doesn't matter if it's not exactly 2/3, I'm just doing this by eye, but you can see it's not quite halfway, it's just below. And underneath that line, I want to leave about 1 centimetre, and I'm going to do another line that is parallel with it. And this is what's going to form the shelf that or the holder that your ice creams go in. Once you've done that, we're going to start at the bottom. So we're going to get your ice cream cones in the bottom. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 dots near the bottom of my page, just where I know I want the tip of my ice creams to go. 1, 2, 3. So not very big, just enough for me to see. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to do this pale in case I need to make changes and adjustments. But I am going to put my ruler down and I can see up there that's heading towards the edge of the page. I'm going to bring it in slightly and I'm going to bring this cone up to the bottom line of the ice cream holder that we drew, just like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same line from my 2nd dot and my 3rd dot. So here, I can see if I put my ruler here, I can see how wide my cone is going to be. That's not how wide I want it to be. So I want to bring my ruler in, and I want my cone to go about up there, which will work. Okay, so it's going in the same diagonal as the first one, and I'm going to do that for my last dot as well. That will be too wide, that wouldn't be wide enough, so about here. Okay, what I'm then going to do is I'm going to come back to my first one and I'm going to line my ruler straight on that line that I just drew. Okay, so not at an angle like this, I want it straight against that line. What I then want to do, I want to carry on my cone up here, just a very short line. However, I don't want to start it from the bottom of the shelf. I must leave a gap here. So I drew my original line, then I have my shelf, then I want to leave about 1 centimetre. So you can see I'm not starting my line from the shelf, I want to leave about 1 centimetre. And I'm just going to do a small line upwards like that. I'm going to do the same for the second one. Line my ruler straight against it. I'm going to see where the shelf started, then I'm going to leave 1 centimetre, and then I'm going to do a small line. And the same for the third. This is the shelf, leave 1 centimetre, and a small line. So now I have the left-hand side of all my cones. The reason we wanted to get the left-hand side in of all of our cones is so that now, when we go to do the right-hand side, I know how wide I can make my cone before it will bash into the next one. And I want to make sure I've got a nice amount of room between each cone. So I'm going to do exactly the same that I've just done, the same process, but on the right-hand side. So I know I don't want my line going here because it's going to be too close to the next cone. So I'm going to do this line here onto the next one. That's going to be too narrow. You can see that would be too narrow if I have it there. So here I think will work. I'm just joining them up at the bottom where my dot was. And my final one here. And now I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to get the small lines in on the top. So I'm going to line my ruler against it. Not going to start at the shelf, I'm going to leave 1 centimetre and draw a small line. And I'm going to do that for the other two as well. That's gone pretty well. I've got 3 equally sized cones. Now it can look a bit confusing because you've got some floating lines up here, but we're going to sort that out now. Now because we're drawing from a perspective, we're drawing from as if we're looking directly at the cones, we want to add some shape into it, okay? So we don't want to draw these lines straight because it won't add any dimension or perspective to our drawing. So what we want to do is we want to connect our cones up. We do not want to touch the shelf line. We want to have a slight curved line so that it looks like it has got a circular shape to the cone. So you can do your ghost drawing first and see where you would want your line to go. And then I want you to get those drawn in. Now we want to get the back of the shelf in so that we can close these ice creams in. So I want the back of the shelf to go in between all of my ice cream cones so it looks like it's running behind it. So I don't want it going above. I want to go straight through the middle of all of my cones on the top. But obviously I don't want to draw a line through them. So I'm going to start drawing my line in from the side. I'm going to stop when I get to the cone and start again on the other side. Onto the next cone, stop. Just like that. And that should give you the shelf. Now onto the actual ice cream scoops. What I do first, and I do this very pale, so you might struggle to see it on camera, but I will decide whether I want mine to be 1 scoop, 2 scoop, or even 3 if I can fit it on. But I don't want mine to go off this page, so I think I'm just going to stick with 2 scoops. But what I do first, and I do it very, very pale, is I sketch on roughly the size that I want my scoop to be. Just very pale. So I've got 1 there. I'm going to try and do 2 for this one. But when I do 2, I want them to sit on top of each other so they overlap slightly like that. Now it's important that if you do 2, both scoops are the same size. You don't want to have one big scoop on the bottom and then a small scoop on top. You wouldn't be very happy if you received that from an ice cream man. And then this one, I think I'll do another 2 scoop. So I'm going to draw my circle. It's not actually a circle, it's more of just a oval shape. And then I've got my scoop on top. Okay, so I can see that this one's much bigger, so I can shrink that scoop down if I want to, but it doesn't really matter. Then what I'm going to do is, to make it a little bit more realistic, we'll end up rubbing these lines out. I'm going to start with my top scoops. I'm going to just outline them, and you can see how I'm using my pale sketchy lines. I'm not doing one continuous line. This adds more detail to the drawing. But as it sits on top of the other scoop, I want to show that it sits on top. Okay, so it's going to be hanging over the top like this. So just here, I'll add a wavy line to the bottom. You could even add some drips if you wanted. So you can see how I've done it so it sits on top. And then this bottom one, I'm going to draw in now. And I'm going to add some wavy lines onto the bottom of that too. And like I say, you can add drips if you want. So when you come to the bottom of the scoop, it is important that your scoops don't come in too much. You want them to join on to the edge of the cone. And then my final one here. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and rub out any of those old circular lines that I don't want. Okay, now I'm going to do just above where I did my wiggly edge for the scoops. I'm just going to add some more wiggly edges inside. I'm just going to add some shapes on there like this, kind of just following the wiggly lines that you've got at the bottom. You could also miss a step out and add it with tone when we come to do the colouring in, or whether you add watercolours or oil pastels, whatever it is you add, you could leave these bits for now and then just darken those areas up with tone. But for this, I'm going to add them in so I don't forget about them. What I then want to do is I want to get some basic waffled effect designs in my cones. So I'm just going to use my ruler and I'm going to do some diagonal lines going through my cone, and the same again the other way. Okay, now you could make your crosshatch design more compact inside your cones or spread them out a little bit more. You could do a different type of waffle effect cone. So I've got an example that a student did a couple of years ago where you can see this was out of a sketchbook, so ignore the writing around the outside, but we had a different waffled effect here. We had some of the crosshatches here, and this one actually got where the cone wraps itself round and connects itself up here. So as you can see by looking at this one, their drips are a little more obvious, and what they've done now, which is what I want to go ahead and do, is they added some accessories onto the top. Now, we obviously aren't having ice creams all the time right now. It's not the right weather for it, but I do like to dream about summer when we do have ice creams. So I say break the rules when it comes to your ice cream accessories. You don't need to stick to a flake and a wafer. This person added a little party ring on, a lollipop. I've had some in the past where we've had donuts on top, biscuits, loads of amazing ideas. So you can be as outrageous as you want for this. So I'm going to go ahead, first of all, I'm going to be quite traditional and I'm going to add a cherry on top of one first. And because I've got my cherry on that one, I think I might add almost a raspberry ripple effect through the ice cream. So I'm going to add some just lines going through where I can colour in like a ruby red colour. Okay, so this one, I think I'm going to add a half-eaten donut into the side. Okay, so that's the finished ice cream drawing. Now in your next tutorial, we'll go over how to add colour to this. Now, I will probably add my colours with watercolour that I've got ready, but you can add colours with pencil crayon. You could use felt pens and then add water over the top to turn them into a watercolour. We do oil pastels in school, chalk pastels, just normal paint. It's up to you. But if you're a Windsor pupil, I want you to wait for your next tutorial, but it's just a pre-warning, I will be using watercolours, although it's not necessary. Now, when it comes to doing your ice cream design, I've shown you the basics. You don't need to copy what I've put on top. You can be as outrageous as you want, and I can't wait to see what you come up with for decorating your ice creams. So I went for, in my head, I know what colours I'm going to want to use. So I've got a cherry raspberry ripple kind of flavour here, and here are the areas that I'm going to add like a dark ruby red into to show the colours of the ripple. I'm not sure what I'm going to do flavour and colour wise on these, but I've added a donut on, a little strawberry, and then I'm thinking a strawberry or a bubblegum sauce for the top. Again, just another way I can get some more colour into my ice creams. And then for this one, it wouldn't be right unless I did my favourite choc chip. I've added in just the end of a crunchy bar that's been shoved in, a lollipop and a traditional wafer. Now, how amazing would it be if actually all ice creams came like this? But I can't wait to see what you come up with. Again, you can do more than 2 scoops if you can fit it on your page. You might decide to have a go at this and then go ahead at just doing a singular one. Just one on a page so you could fit more scoops on, but we're aiming for the pencil drawing today, and then in your next tutorial we'll go over how to add colour to it. So I hope you get on okay, guys. Please send me a picture to show me how you got on, and I will see you next time.